The challenges with the internet, customers in Canada knew when the products were being launched in the US, and they wanted to have access to that at the same time.
Juliana, you have 12 years of product marketing experience under your belt. I'll hand it off to you to give a quick intro about yourself.
I started in a pharmaceutical company, MSD, and then I transitioned to EMS Pharma, which is a national pharmaceutical company in Brazil. I also worked in a role for a life safety and security company called ABLOY. It's a multi-brand company. So I've been studying marketing since I was 15 in Brazil, which led me to the business and marketing bachelor degree. I decided that was not enough. Then I got an MBA in marketing management. And with that came the interest to work in the field.
I want to dive deeper into your journey. Did you start out doing product marketing related things and then you found yourself in the spot?
We actually started through a friend at university. He was part of this new team in the pharmaceutical company he was working for, and there's an opportunity in the marketing department. At that time, I was already wanting to transition from HR to marketing. And so I did an interview and I got the job. When I started, I was helping with everything to support the director of marketing. Let's say marketing budget, promotional materials, events, communications, PR, some special projects to bring the brand forward and become well-known in the industry and outside of it. While I was there, I was watching the PMMs working because we used to sit together and plan campaigns. I got really interested in this strategy and I want to try it out. I got offered to manage one product line. I love the experience because I learned what actually was to be a PMM and take care of product life cycles and take it to market and work with launches. At that time, there was a person that was focused on launches itself. So I used to work with her and we will plan things out, and with trade marketing. I saw how interesting it was to work with different people for different purposes. And then I found myself, I'm like, I love this and that's what I want to do.
You transitioned from the pharmaceutical company to now a manufacturing company. How was that transition for you? What are the differences in terms of the work that you do?
It wasn't only a transition from industry, but it was also country. In between, I had the opportunity to learn about product management. I worked for a Canadian family-owned company, learned a lot about the process of launching a product. That opened the door for me to work in the life safety security industry for ABLOY because of the complexity of the products. The transition was easier because this PM experience for 4 years prepared me to this change. It was different from the perspective that I was not located at the manufacturing site. In Canada, we used to import a lot of products from the US, so multiple brands, which is part of the company. We call it operating companies or sister companies. My role was basically to learn about every brand, learn about the product categories, and market it in Canada. We know that there are differences between both countries. Canada is a bilingual country. We speak English and French. There are many aspects from regulations, consumer behavior, how to go to market that is different from the US. I was this person who will connect with the operating companies, marketing, product marketing managers, brand managers, and then launch the product in Canada. It was a good transition. It was a role that I learned so much. And it helped me grow a lot.
What was the biggest challenge in that experience?
The challenges with the internet, customers in Canada knew when the products were being launched in the US, and they wanted to have access to that at the same time. We were sometimes facing challenges towards changes in the product. Let's say Everything that we're selling in Canada will have to be bilingual. Packaging, if there's any description on the actual product, it had to be that way. And that will make us delay a little bit on the launch because we had to adjust if that wasn't identified on the early stages of product creation, conception, and development. That was a very big challenge, but with time and building a closer relationship, it helped to slim the timeline to be on top of the launch time in the US. We used to call it a Canadianization. So we had to Canadianize the launch. And for me, being a bilingual professional, I could understand the challenges that Canadians in Quebec will face towards language and compliance and everything else. So that helped me a lot.
Thank you for sharing. Do you have a favorite learning moment?
I do, because I have always worked for B2B, business to business companies. In this role at ABLOY, we had a project to launch a B2C, business to consumer product within the B2B sector. The product, the brand has a different tone, a different way to go to market, to price it. It was my favorite because I was able to see the other side, the B2C that I have not worked so closely before. We were doing something different on the wholesale channel, and it was my favorite one for sure. Not only that, but learning about the brand itself. So the brand was Yale, the smart lock, Google Nest that comes from that brand. And it was amazing. Like, I love getting to know more about the B2C environment.
How was your B2C strategy different from your B2B?
B2B, it is more of a thought leadership, way to go to market. You go to different people within the industry to address the messaging. B2C, they already knew what the product was. It's the pull and the push, right? Generally, we push the product. Okay, we have a new feature. We have something new that's coming up. Some people will already expect that in the B2B, but B2C, it's the customers coming to the stores and asking for the product. There's a lot of differences, including packaging. For retail, you have to inform a lot of things on the packaging, and you have to adjust with that. And you have to say everything that and not in the instructions or in the manual. Let's say an example. The locks come with a sleeve, and this sleeve, they had to include not only English and French, but also Spanish. There are different measurements in the house from a lock standpoint. So they had to include a new product, like an adapter, to match how they will fit into the door here in Canada. Going through all that process was something that it was relatable, as you said, from a consumer standpoint, like how much thought you have to put into a packaging change and how the product will have to fit in. Usually the B2C products is D, and the B2B, it's more who's going to install that. For this industry, they depend on someone who understands how to install, how it works, what's going to work best for their projects. And it's usually larger projects. The buy power is way higher, and it's tied to the decision maker of that project. It could be an architect, an engineer, a facility manager. There's an extra layer that you have to take into consideration, that it could, because the volume of people involved is bigger, then you have to give more attention.
In order to perform well as a product marketer, how much would you say you had to learn and be good at and before you step into the role versus these are the skills that I can learn on the job?
The thing that brought me to a point, either to understand what do I need to learn and what should I not spend time learning, was trying to understand the big picture and how my role will benefit everybody that were involved in launches and helping make the go-to-market strategy happen. As an example, if I'm creating a sales enablement material, what exactly do I need to include in there? Then I will get more information. There were always training available for us to learn more about each product category. I'll just get the main information based on my previous experience as a PM and as PMM, that I understand, oh, okay, this is important, so I will rely on subject matters experts to help with the piece itself. Already having the knowledge of marketing, this heavy background, helped me to understand the nuances of what is relevant, what is something that we have to leave it outside, and then provide them information in a separate place that they can look up and deep dive into the details.
Does it get overwhelming when you have to think of planning based on one persona's journey and you have to keep in mind about all the other pieces and all the other roles involved? Where do you draw the line and say, okay, this is the extent to which we will be able to support, and then we can always iterate and improve on this?
I think it's a natural thing because you have to stay with the goals to draw the line. You have to rely on the operating companies to support you. Let's say the persona perspective, it could be the same or it could be different. So sometimes you have to go with what you have and apply that in the market, and then you do the homework, right? Is this working or not? Do we have to go back and adjust this? Because time is of essence. So you cannot just question everything, but you have to give it a chance, rely on that information, and then adjust as you go. And then based on that, you also have to understand what will be relevant or not, because we, as product marketers, we have people always in the background when we always want to make them happy with the experience as a product or with the team and everything that we provide to them.
Last question for you. What are your favorite resources to keep up with the industry?
For me, there are two: people inside and outside the company. These are the best resources because it's the day-to-day that you can learn from and understand the environment and what step to take next. Outside of that, I'm constantly reading newsletters and books. Right now, I've been checking the Google Canada blog. I'm subscribed to the FS Farnham Street, which has a bunch of different topics, and mostly they talk about business and brain food, like clear thinking about business around everything related. Shane, the newsletter owner, also has a podcast called The Knowledge Project, and he constantly brings new people to talk about different topics. My resources are based on, from the fundamental, if I have something they already know, what do I need to include in that knowledge they already have and they already gathered from the people around me? So how can I make this more innovative or bring something outside of the industry that can add to what I'm doing right now? In a nutshell, I work with the fundamentals, then I go outsource it when I don't have the answers around. We have to be careful with information overload too. And sometimes the less is better, and the simple is what brings the better results. Because at the end of the day, we are constantly fighting for time and attention and trying to sell and trying to go to market. So keeping that focus, it's the best way. Less is more.
Thank you, Juliana. This is great. Yeah, I love the bits that you shared today. And I think they're really gonna be applicable and beneficial to not for myself for sure, but also for people who are watching.
Yes, I hope so too. Like that's my favorite thing, is to help people achieve their goals.
Yeah, thank you.